What's up? It's your boy Reemus, and in this video, we're going to be doing an overview slash review slash little summary on this book that I read recently. It's called The Mating Mind: How Sexual Choice Shaped the Evolution of Human Nature. And of course, you can have, it's about the sexual selection, sexual behavior, sex throughout the ages, and how it's developed. But one thing I liked about this book is that and why you could find it interesting is because it's relevant. It makes it relevant to everyday life. It explains perfectly why certain activities have evolved, right? Things that we do in everyday life, such as sports, art, and all of that stuff, it talks about in this book. So, yeah, the good thing I put about this book, I'm reading the notes, is that it explains the context and theories surrounding different topics, as well as scientists and psychologists who proposed it, as well as the merits and faults of those different theories. It starts off talking about Darwinism and how he proposed, of course, the theory of natural selection and evolution and stuff, right? So he put the opponents to it, as well as the theories of the opponents and his interpretation of it. So now I'm going to go through certain stuff, little few fun facts that I learned in the book that you might find interesting. Male displays, which is male displays of sexual value, right? Almost like peacocks. When peacocks are trying to show their feathers, it actually talks about that in this book as well. When peacocks are showing their feathers, he's not just doing it for the sake of it. He's displaying his value. But for humans, it's most evident around the age of 20 to 30 when sexual competition is at its highest. And this explains why a lot of culture is most likely driven by men, as culture is driven by displays of reproductive value. So when you think about what the culture of women, things that they take pride in, things that they're entertained by, the entertainment culture. Let's talk about modeling. Modeling is dominated by women because what they're doing is they're displaying their beauty and their genetic value. For a man, he's not like, modeling is not as important. It would be sports and stuff like that. So, and even art. So as culture is driven by displays of reproductive value. Another thing I put is the decisions and behaviors of one sex greatly influences the other in an ongoing synchronized back and forth. However, roles don't totally switch. Rather, it's more like degrees, which one of the sexes embodies. When one of the sexes embodies a specific strategy, and that degree is tuned up and is tuned down. So the decisions and the behaviors of one sex will always influence the other, and we see a lot of that today, in terms of the equality movement and all of this stuff. You can see how the decisions of women are affecting men. It's not just like, we can't just look at certain things and go, oh, it's just there. It's just, it's just like that. There's always a reason why. And this book will help you understand the context of what's happening in today's world too. If you take what you learn and then apply it. Another thing I put, it teaches about mutations and genetic mutations and the role of the DNA and what the DNA is trying to do. It talks about, basically, it's like there's almost like a perfect state, this is my understanding of it. There's one perfect form of human, and all forms of it are really just a mutation. Like the differences in beauty and all of that stuff, that's just represented by the different mutations that are happening. And because of the threat of mutations, sexual reproduction because of the threat of mutations when DNA is copying itself, sexual reproduction is a strategy for getting the best genes that you can for your offspring. So it talks about how the fact that there are some other forms of reproduction, not just sex. Sex evolved for mammals, but there are actually different ways that reproduction is for other organisms. It also gives a fun fact about genders. because of course we know there are two genders, and although there's the certain movements now, we can clearly see that other organisms, or the scientists can see that there are some organisms that have even more than two genders. Like, I think the most that one organism has is like 13 different genders, and that's like, I think it's a form of bacteria, if I remember correctly. Another note I put: many cultural activities have evolved as a result of being expressions of evolutionary fitness. As I talked about, art, even sports, really, that's just men showing their evolutionary fitness. Another note I put: sexual choice permeates everyday life, because things that increase social status are also things that increase mating prospects. Sexual choice permeates everyday life. Yeah. So the things that we're doing every day, we don't know. Like, we just get a feeling like, oh yeah, this makes us feel good. But on a deep subconscious level, what we're trying to do is show our reproductive value. The book also explains the differences in male and female in those different activities that are pertaining to life, because there are differences between men and women, and a lot of the time people today are trying to say it's the same, but really, if you look at the science, if you look at the psychology, if you observe what's happened throughout evolutionary history, it's going to tell the true story, right? So yeah, I highly recommend this book. It's quite interesting. If at times it felt like a heavy read, because one con that I put is sometimes it can feel off topic, or certain things were irrelevant, so I kind of just like skipped through it. Yeah, but overall it's a pretty good book. It's not a bad book, and you wouldn't do a bad job if you spent time reading it. So hope you enjoyed that little review or overview. And if you like that, then make sure to check out other videos and subscribe to this channel. See you in the next one. Peace.